let me just say, you guys are so on time. Good afternoon, graduates, families, and friends. I'm Dr. Amanda Graham, the Academic Director for the Irving Institute and the Director of the Master of Energy Transition.
And I am Dr. Megan Litweiler. I'm the Assistant Director of Academic Programs at the Irving Institute. And we're delighted to welcome you all today, family, friends, and colleagues, both here with us at Dartmouth and joining us from far and wide on the live stream to celebrate our inaugural Master of Energy Transition class, the class of 2026.
Everything about the MET is a team effort. So Megan and I will be sharing the podium as we kick off today's incredibly exciting ceremony. Before we get started, we would like to respectfully acknowledge that Dartmouth, which was founded as Moore's Indian Charity School, is situated upon the ancestral and unceded lands of the Abenaki people. This acknowledgement reminds us of the significance of place, the continued existence of Indigenous people, and Dartmouth's commitment to building respectful relationships with those who call these lands home today. We recognize that this acknowledgement is the beginning, not the end, of a pathway toward being in right relation with Indigenous peoples of the past, present, and future. And we would like to extend our deepest gratitude to the many people who have made this program possible. Enormous thanks go, first and foremost, to Arthur, Sandra, and Sarah Irving for their vision and endless generosity and kindness. To Professor Jeff Parker for catalyzing the launch of this program and providing unflagging support. To the Institute's truly amazing, deeply dedicated advisory board. To the fantastic faculty who teach in the MET and guide the MET program. To the Dean of the Guarini School, John Kuhl, and his incredible team. To our peerless peers on the MET team, Casey Crafton, who could not be with us today, who coordinates treks and workshops and guards our wellness and creativity. Jackie Firsty, our jackknife of all trades, who leverages her incredible network for projects and careers and mentorship and more. To Madeline Bothy for her sage advice and for helping fill our program with wonderful students. To Beam Lertbunafong's spectacular scout of job opportunities and most fabulous photographer. To Jen St. Lawrence, our most excellent career coach. And to the entire, truly exceptional Irving Institute staff who make this program and this amazing event tonight possible. And finally, a very special call out to Rachel Tomir, our events coordinator, who has been planning this beautiful day for literally months. Rachel.
We truly cannot thank all of you enough. It's wonderful to have everyone here with us today. So I've been at the Irving Institute for about 5 years, and Amanda's been here for 8 years. And we have had the pleasure of seeing the Institute evolve and grow as we built new ways to advance our mission to accelerate an affordable, reliable, and equitable clean energy transition for the benefit of society. As an institute, we envision the multidisciplinary community of researchers, experts, and citizens who will lead the decarbonization of the global economy. The Master of Energy Transition and this outstanding inaugural class bring this vision to life.
And not a moment too soon. Our energy systems are the backbone of modern life, and they are under extreme pressure to transform. The challenges this creates do not respect borders of any kind, disciplinary, national, or geographic. It has been a dream to build a program that is laser-focused on increasing society's capacity to not just address these challenges, but to use them as an opportunity to build a better world.
The students we are celebrating today are remarkably motivated and prepared to meet the complex energy and climate challenges this program was built to address. What you've accomplished in the last 9 months is truly extraordinary. I remember when you were all arriving for orientation, just 9 months ago, and so it feels like 5 minutes ago and also forever ago all at the same time. We knew a lot about you when you were coming in. We'd been kind of corresponding with you for months, but it was somehow completely surreal when you all showed up and you were like actual real people. You were a group of individual students from all over the country and all over the world, and you so quickly became this wonderful community that we're so fortunate to be a part of. We really could not have asked for a better inaugural class.
We had no idea that you were the humans that we were missing in our lives. And we almost lost you on the very first day. We were having our very first dinner together outside on the patio of a restaurant downtown, enjoying the lovely breeze, when suddenly the gigantic outdoor umbrellas lifted right off their moorings. And while time stopped, they lazily and inexorably drifted their heavy metal posts right at you. Your lives passed before my eyes. And then the umbrellas swooped safely to the ground with none of you the worse for the wear, very thankfully. So I guess the message there is that you don't need any umbrellas to manage and weather the stiff winds ahead.
And you have continued to weather those winds together. We may have introduced you all in the beginning, but you have really made yourselves a cohort of colleagues and friends. We've watched you lean into challenges together and support one another, and you eagerly push past your comfort zones together. And that collaborative spirit and genuine openness to other ways of thinking are exactly the qualities that will set you apart no matter what sector of the energy system you all end up in.
And speaking of systems, energy is a big and complicated system. At the beginning of your MET journey, we talked about the landscape of energy systems. And I love how that metaphor helps us think about the major landmarks, new technological breakthroughs, or policy innovations. It helps us recognize the mountain range that is climate change, and that the challenge of climate change, and also the trails that we can use to surmount it. It helps us see the rivers of collaboration and how they weave through widely differing habitats of governmental regulation and cultural difference. It helps us zoom in to study the individual. Megan, what are you doing?
I feel like this speech is kind of taking a while and I got hungry, so I'm having a snack. Is anyone else hungry? I get worried that our students are hungry, so if you reach under your chairs, there's a little snack under there for you. Mateo, reach under your chair. So the MET team, we do our best to support our students in many ways, but if you've spent any time with me or Amanda, you know that we take snacks very seriously, and keeping our students well-fed has been and will remain a top priority. And we genuinely appreciate our students' willingness to share your snack preferences and let us know immediately when snacks are running low. You've showed real initiative there, so nice job. But as important as snacks are, we have learned far more from you than just what you like to munch on. Throughout this program, you have thoughtfully reflected on your experiences as our inaugural cohort. You've offered candid and really truly invaluable feedback. And by doing that, you have co-created so much of what the MAT has become. And we are so grateful for your engaged and constructive partnership, your responsiveness when I bug you for the 37th time to fill out that evaluation survey. And all of this highlights the qualities that made you exceptional students. Your thoughtfulness, your willingness to speak up, your commitment to making things better. These are the same qualities that will make you exceptional and compassionate leaders.
Treating each other well, treating your colleagues well, listening first. In our often fragmented and fractious world, you can be the glue and the ears and the elbow grease, as much as you can be the insightful speaker and the inspiring leader. You know the challenges. You are filling your toolboxes. Your network is so strong. Thomas Edison said, "Our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always to try one more time." And we know you will. That's why we can all have hope. I have 2 closing quotes for you. The first is from Atticus Finch in Harper Lee's novel To Kill a Mockingbird, as he counsels his daughter Scout. "You never really understand a person until you consider things from their point of view, until you climb into their skin and walk around in it. You've done that here, and you'll need to do it again and again and again." And the second is from a radio show that I used to love, which always wrapped up by saying, "Be well, do good work, and keep in touch." Send us postcards. I love postcards.
Postcards are fine. But we also love visits to Hanover, so please come back and visit us very soon. Or just don't leave. You can do that too. But yes.
In sum, we can't wait to see what you do next, and we promise to stay connected. Once a part of the MET, always a part of the MET.
Okay, we're done now.
It is now my pleasure to invite the absolutely tireless Scott Fisher to the podium. Scott is the chair of the Irving Institute Advisory Board, a triple alum of Dartmouth, and the most committed advocate an institute and a grad program could ever have. Scott?
So before I even start, I think you did a lot of thank yous, but we have to thank Amanda and Megan because they were so behind us. That is really outstanding. So congratulations. This is an awesome day. This is a milestone, hopefully for you, certainly for the Institute, for frankly our mission in the world. And it's an honor to be here, and it's just incredible to see all of you here. As Amanda mentioned, I have the privilege of being serving as the chair of the advisory board for the Arthur Irving Institute for Energy and Society. And I do have a tendency to go long. I will go long. So I'll just say that right off the bat. But I'll just tell you, just be thankful that you're not my Tuck graduation. And this is a true story. We had a student speaker, and he got up there and he said, "So for the next 40 minutes," and everyone laughed. And 35 minutes later, we were still listening to him. So I'm not going to do that to you. So I've had the privilege of personally getting to know just about everyone in the MET program. And this group is just fantastic. When we were designing this program, we had a lot of great designs. We had a lot of things in mind. But if we didn't get the right people, this wouldn't take off. And so you guys have made this program. You're way more than just students. You are as much a part of this as I am or anyone on this stage, and that's for life. So, you're always a part of this, like you said, once MET, always MET. You're the inaugural class. What I want to do is really talk a little with you, but mainly the people in the back rows over there, so you kind of get a sense as to what these graduates are going on to do. I chair the advisory board. Our advisory board has 20 leaders and experts from across the field. We have a global reach. We, in all corners of energy and society. So we bring a really interesting perspective because we're also extremely involved in the Institute. We've got one foot that's out in the practitioner space and 1 foot here in the Institute. And so in looking at this, I can see the difference that this group is prepared to make. And let me just tell you what you guys are facing. Your graduates back here, whether family, friends, whatever, are in for a wild and exciting career, but a very rewarding one. The energy and society space is one of the most unpredictable and turbulent sectors in the world. Moreover, the stakes in this space are high because just about every aspect of our lives is dependent on our energy system. We rely on energy for light, heat, cooling, production of goods, modern healthcare, transportation, communications, and information access. In fact, the entire trajectory of artificial intelligence and its capabilities depends upon the evolution of our future energy systems to support it. Yet while our energy systems are critical to lift our societies, our current energy systems are also untenable for many people across the globe and for future generations. It's a push-pull. We need them, but this transformation is needed. We mentioned climate change. Climate change right now, driven by our emissions, is leaving an estimated 25 million plus people per year displaced globally. And that number is continuing to climb. But it's not just about climate. We've got billions of people across our planet with inadequate energy access as part of our daily life. Where's Elizabeth? She's here, I know. One of your professors, Elizabeth, and this is from her more recent book, wrote, "Energy access is unaffordable or unreliable for 4.4 billion people on our planet, while another 1.1 billion live without access to electricity at all." And as I wrote in a recent book, which you can purchase at your favorite local booksellers at a reasonable price, there is no simple blueprint to take on these issues because the landscape of our energy systems across the world is a patchwork quilt defined by regional differences in the abundance of national resources, the topography of our infrastructure, the political climate, the economic realities, and the different needs of energy and uses of energy across our cultures. The solutions in one place simply may not work in other places. And the issues are all magnified by the large financial investments and risks inherent in this extremely capital-intensive industry. Good luck. But here's the good news. There is no better one-year program in the United States, and probably the world, than the Dartmouth MET program to prepare future leaders to take on the challenges and opportunities in the energy sector for the betterment of society. And I don't say that lightly. When we designed this, we did deep research, we commissioned others, we scoured the whole landscape of what's out there. Unlike other programs which dance in certain areas of the energy and society space or cobble together some disparate courses, Dartmouth's MET program is designed to train you to identify, leverage, and integrate policy, business, and technology considerations in the context of the complexity of our energy sector, and develop innovative and comprehensive solutions. This is critical to transform our energy systems. This approach also prepares all of you to be nimble leaders, which is paramount because the energy landscape is constantly changing. Looking back on my career over the decades, I can see at any given time it would have been difficult, if not impossible, to predict what kinds of challenges and opportunities I'd be facing and working on only 5 years later. You need to have that breadth, that ability to bring it together. That's what you guys are trained in. A lot are going to be narrow, but you are really able to bring it together like any others. Given that context, the MET program isn't just about getting the next job after you graduate, but it's preparing you to excel in that job and to give you the foundational skills to excel as a leader in the job you're going to have 10 years from now, 20 years from now, and 30 years from now. So family and friends, that's what this group has accomplished. And it's really amazing. They've worked really hard, and they should be darn proud of that. So graduates, I'm going to focus on you just for a second. I want to share 2 words with you that I hope you'll remember going forward. These 2 words were, I'd say, exemplified by Arthur. by Arthur Irving, who we have to thank for the vision here. Well, I know you're going to talk, but I know, he's looking down, and this is what it was all about. It was about the students. It was about change. It was about the new challenges. And so his spirit really guides and permeates every corner of the MET program, our institute, and its impacts on the world. The first word is ambition. With the foundational skills you now have, the sky's the limit, and the difference you can make if you have ambition. I want you to look around you, and just even some of the people on this stage. All right, you're going to be pinned here. Here's Dan. I'm calling him out. Dan Kalafatis. He founded and chairs 3 Degrees. It's perhaps the foremost organization in the world in developing and implementing climate solution pathways for corporations, governments, and organizations. Your keynote address is going to be delivered by Abby Hopper, whose work leading the entire US solar industry has been one of the key drivers of its transformation from a relatively nascent technology to being the #1 source of electricity generation capacities in the United States. I appreciate that. And sitting behind me is Jeff Parker, over there, who's repeatedly named one of the top 50 management thinkers in the world for his work that relates to the energy space. And right here we have Sandra and Sarah, and I know Barbara's going to do an introduction of them, but let me tell you, probably everyone in this room has been touched by them, whether it's their work in energy, in education, in healthcare. I can't say enough, these are some of the kindest and most wonderful people I know. So I just bragged about all of them. Now I'm going to put them all down, because none of these people were better prepared to take on the issues in the energy space when they were your age, as you are right now. Not a single one of them. Yet they all had ambition, and that's what made the difference. The second word I want to leave you with is community. Fostering community is critical to addressing our energy and society issues. And community is important in everyone's life, well outside the energy space. I hope each of you feels a part of this very special Irving Institute and Dartmouth community, not just now, but for life. As the inaugural class, you have shaped this groundbreaking program as much as anyone in this room has. This building is always yours, and you always have a special place here. You're an alum now, just like me. Stay a part of this incredible community and give back to the next generation. Together, we'll continue to do amazing things. So I have the privilege now to introduce the next speaker, Barbara Will. Barbara is the Vice Provost for Academic and International Affairs. She has been involved in kind of guiding and seeing this institute for years now, and really making it go from right here to being global. She's worked behind the scenes tirelessly. She's worked in front of the scenes. And she's a wonderful friend. So with that, I want to introduce Barbara.
Okay, Scott, that wasn't too long. And I won't go long either. They slotted me in on the program, so thank you for indulging me. I'm the Vice Provost at Dartmouth. Nobody knows what that is, which is fine. The Provost's office is the Chief Academic Office at Dartmouth. And it's my incredible pleasure to celebrate with you this inaugural class of the Master in Energy Transition. And I just want to say a few words about why this program is so special and why our graduates are so special. And it really has to do with how this program came into being. And Jeff just said I was sort of a fly on the wall during a lot of these discussions at the very beginning. But I also want to go back to the beginning of the Irving Institute, the Arthur L. Irving Institute for Energy and Society, which is really genuinely new as an institute. It's that and society piece that turns us from a typical energy institute into something much bigger, much broader, much more exciting, much more transformational. And the same thing is happening with this master's program. This is truly an innovative program. As Scott said, and Amanda and everybody has said, it's unlike any program out there. And it really didn't exist until a couple of years ago, even as an idea, because the urgent, actionable education that this moment demands simply didn't exist yet. And so that's what I want to talk about that a little bit, that the Irving Institute, with incredible vision and remarkable speed, built this idea in a space where it didn't really exist. And this is hugely thanks to the persistence and foresight of Amanda Graham. I mean, this would not exist without Amanda's vision. And she doesn't owe me anything. I'm just saying that just because, I'm so impressed by what she was able to do. I remember seeing this as a slide deck, and now it's a reality. And that's really, I'm just blown away by how great this program has become so quickly. But I also want to say that something else about this program. It is a model of what a modern research university can do when it works across boundaries. So as Scott just said, the energy transition is not a problem that belongs only to engineers or economists or environmental scientists or artists. It belongs to all of them, to all of us simultaneously. And so what's really unique about this program is the way it brings together faculty, resources, and perspectives from across Dartmouth in ways that really don't happen automatically in a modern research university. Take it from me. People are siloed. They don't want to work across boundaries. They don't want to collaborate. And this program does that. And it does it because of its commitment to the service of a cleaner, greener world. There's a real ethical and moral commitment in this program that I find very inspiring and again, somewhat unique. I've watched the Irving Institute build bridges with Tuck, with Thayer, with the social sciences, with the humanities in support of the Met, because solving the energy transition requires all of it. And today is a testament to what that bridge building has produced. These graduates, these amazing young people who are going to be comfortable in whatever space you go into, the engineering space, the finance space, the policy space, space for anyone. I can't even think yet because you're going to create those spaces. Anybody who thinks critically, creatively, and holistically about our shared future. And that's really an extraordinary thing to say about a program's very first class. So I have a lot more to say. I don't want to go on. And I also really want to give the podium to other people to have a chance to speak. But I just want to congratulate you again. And this institution is so proud of you. This Energy Institute is so proud of you. Dartmouth is so proud of you. And the world, which genuinely needs what you know how to do now, is just waiting for you. So congratulations again. And I now have the privilege of introducing our next speakers, dear, dear friends and really wonderful visionaries of what this program could be as well, Sandra and Sarah Irving. I'll say a little bit about Sandra first. Sandra's a leader in the field of education and a strong supporter of energy and healthcare research. Sandra and Arthur, her late husband, have supported numerous universities, hospitals, and cutting-edge research initiatives across Canada, the United States, and beyond, establishing new and innovative programs and institutes, and supporting students both personally and financially. Sandra currently serves as the Chancellor of St. Thomas University in Fredericton, New Brunswick. She's a member of the Order of Canada and the Order of New Brunswick. She's a fellow of the Royal Society of Canada, and she has been recognized twice by the Queen of England for her service. She holds honorary degrees from numerous universities, and she has received the Humanitarian Award from the Canadian Red Cross. She's also, luckily for us, an advisory board member of the Arthur Irving Institute for Energy and Society, and a very proud Dartmouth parent. Which brings me to Sarah. Sarah Irving has held several leadership roles with Irving Oil, most recently serving as Executive Vice President and Chief Brand Officer, focused on culture, sustainability, innovation, and energy transition. Currently, Sarah is a director of the Arthur and Sandra Irving Foundation, and again, luckily for us, an advisory board member of the Arthur L. Irving Institute for Energy and Society. She's a member of the President's Board of Advisors at Mass General Brigham Hospital and an early investor in the biotech space. She received her Bachelor of Arts degree cum laude from Dartmouth, her MBA from Tuck, and also serves as a member of the Dartmouth President's Leadership Council, the Cancer Center Advisory Board at Mass General, and the IWK Health Center Foundation. In a nutshell, Sandra and Sarah are two of the most impactful, wonderful, and fun people I know, and it's my great pleasure to introduce them to you.
Thank you for those very kind words. And hi, and congratulations to the grad class today. Today is all about you. Thank you very much for the opportunity to say a few words today on behalf of my mom and in remembering my dad, Arthur. It's a special day, especially for our very first Met students, and we're all really happy to be here. As I hope that you can tell from all of our remarks today, we are all so very proud of you. So a big congratulations. Today's graduation marks a really special milestone in all of your lives. And it's also a really special milestone, as many have said today, for the Arthur Irving Institute for Energy and Society. And in celebration today, we also take the time to reflect in terms of where this all began. And it really starts with looking at everybody in this room today and everyone here on stage, because everybody is a part of that story. We're reminded of the incredible team that we're surrounded by. In the faculty and staff, so many whom are here today, in Jeff's leadership, and Amanda and Megan and team for your enormous dedication of time, energy, and passion to developing this world-class program. To Scott and Dan and Abby, and so many who volunteer their time, talent, and knowledge in the belief and power of the Institute in bringing people together. And in each of you, our graduates, who in so many ways embody the essence of why we are all here. And so in thinking about what I would share today, I thought back to some of the initial conversations about the Institute that my mom and dad had with President Phil Hanlon at the time, in the woods of New Brunswick, Canada, where we live. And those conversations were about just the idea of an institute at Dartmouth, an institute that would bring people together in studying energy, in bringing people together across different backgrounds, across difference, to solve some of the world's greatest challenges. And in every single one of those conversations that I witnessed, it would always come back to the students, in how to create an institute to have real impact in the lives of the students, to celebrate and create lasting impact to make this world a better place. And that's all of you. And so on a day like today, I think of my dad and how he would so love to be up here in congratulating you and thanking you for choosing Dartmouth and thanking you for making this the place that you've spent the past 9 months together. And he would be so very proud of what the Institute, with all of you, has become. My dad worked his whole life really dedicated to building a business, to our employees and our customers, and to working really hard so that he had the ability to give back. And so the Institute, in what it has become, and in all of you, is in so many ways, to my mom and to me, his living legacy. In carrying on his greatest hopes of making a difference in this world, in finding ways forward, in working together in times of challenge to keep moving forward. My dad was always so full of life. He loved an adventure. And so, as we celebrate all of our graduates, I think of the spirit that each and every one of you embody in having chosen Dartmouth and having chosen the MET program at the Arthur Irving Institute for Energy and Society. Because in doing so, you too chose an adventure in choosing to be part of building a program together, in forging new paths, in being part of something that no one had ever done before. And in so doing, you leave with a great education, but you also leave behind a lasting legacy of the program that you have all now built together. Over the past year, you together as a group with the faculty and staff of the Irving Institute have helped to define the program, not only in the curriculum, but in the culture that you have built, in creating lasting relationships, in connections to place and to one another, and those you'll carry with you for the rest of your life. And so we say thank you for making that choice. And we hope that as you embark on this really exciting new chapter of your life, you'll take that spirit and sense of adventure with you, jumping in and giving it your very, very best in whatever you choose to do. And always remember those who have helped you along the way. And in doing that, you embody the spirit of this institute from where it all began, from those initial conversations, and in so many ways, the spirit and legacy of my dad. You will forever be the inaugural class of the Masters of Energy Transition at the Arthur Irving Institute for Energy and Society at Dartmouth, and this is just your beginning. We could not be more proud to celebrate you on this very special day. Congratulations.
All right. So I'm going to put my glasses on this time. Sorry. All right, well, thank you so much to everyone, Sandra and Sarah, Scott, Barbara. Thank you all. We're so fortunate that you could be with us today. And now I am delighted to introduce our student speakers. So they were nominated by their peers to represent their class at this celebration. And you are about to hear from three outstanding individuals who come from different places and different backgrounds and interests that color their reflections on this experience in the program and as part of the inaugural MET cohort. So we've been telling you over and over how awesome these students are, so now we will let you hear for yourselves. So to kick us off, I would like to welcome Khadija Alakou to the stage.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us here for the inaugural MET graduation ceremony. Before I begin, I just want to take a moment to thank all of the people who have been with us here on this journey. Thank you to the board members for always offering your thoughtful advice. Thank you to the Irving staff and faculty for guiding us through these transformative 9 months. Thank you to our friends and family for being our support system. And most importantly, thank you to the Irvings for giving us the opportunity to explore our career opportunities. One of the first activities at the Met was to figure out our why. Why did we choose the MET? For me, the answer was obvious, as energy has always been woven into my background. Growing up in Houston with family in the energy sector, I knew I wanted to gain a deeper understanding of the energy industry. Energy is the reason why I chose my undergraduate major. It was the reason why I chose to intern in the energy sector, and it's what led me to this program. However, upon entering, I realized my perspective was incomplete. I had the technical background, but I was missing the policy and market understanding, and most importantly, the relationship piece. The mentorship offered at the MET has created a safe place to explore various career trajectories, and the members of the board have been instrumental in supporting the entire MET cohort in our professional development. We've also had the opportunities to connect with leaders in the energy field whom we might have not otherwise met, like meeting the CPUC and CEC commissioners at Andrew McAllister's house on our California career trek, learning energy market law from Jay Madsen, the director of the Division of Investigation at FERC, and visiting multiple utilities to understand their varying structures. The one-on-one mentorship, career tracks, and access to leaders set this program apart, but truly, none of us could have succeeded alone. I'm extremely grateful to my classmates and proud to be a part of this amazing cohort. Looking back to our first night before orientation at Molly's, I remember feeling immediately comforted and surrounded by enthusiastic people who cared about the field. But what struck me most is what happened over these 9 months. Whether we were at Molly's or debriefing after class, our conversations transformed. They went from being centered around what needed to happen in clean energy to now us asking why and how this change can occur. The inherent curiosity, complemented with an eagerness to learn from one another, is what makes this cohort truly special. We've not only grown closer as a cohort, we've modeled what the energy sector needs, learned from our varying backgrounds, and shown up for each other authentically. All of this is what it means to be a member of the Met, and I'm glad to be carrying these, sorry, Amy. I'm glad to be carrying. I already told Amy I can't look at her. I'm glad to be carrying these lifelong memories and relationships with me. As we head into our next chapters, whether in policy, markets, or technology, this program has equipped us to make an impact with direct exposure to the energy landscape that we're entering. I believe that we, as a cohort, will be leaving with the fundamental belief that the understanding of the energy space can be enhanced by more people who blend technical rigor, policy knowledge, market understanding, and genuine relationships. This is what we built with the Met, and this is what we'll take with us in our future career journeys. Thank you, and congratulations to the MET class of 2026.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Khadija. I mean, I told you that they were pretty great. So thank you, Khadija, for sharing that journey with us. That was such a wonderful way to kick off the student speeches. But now, next up, I would like to welcome Matteo Tafuri to the stage.
Thank you. The energy transition is the largest reallocation of capital in modern history. Just consider some of the sectors that are part of it: new generation technologies, transportation, digital infrastructure, energy storage, and nuclear, across geopolitics, technology, and finance. Those who work in this sector today come from investment banking, oil and gas, strategy consulting, law, and government. The market didn't wait for academia to catch up. It just started hiring people who could translate. The Greek poet Homer defined Odysseus as polymetis, rich in metis, not pure knowledge, but the practical intelligence to navigate the real world, to solve problems no manual had anticipated before. Dartmouth, with its long history and reputation as a place built on one conviction, learning how to think, not what to think, understood this right away. What it has built across theater, tech, and arts and sciences is a structure designed to train navigators. But a good navigator never charts a single course. Transition does not mean replacement. Aviation will still run on liquid fuels for decades. Industrial heat, steel making, these are not going electric anytime soon. I had the chance to meet the vice chairman of S&P Global, Daniel Yergin, at CERAWeek in Houston this year, which he co-founded. He argued in Foreign Affairs that what we are leading through is not a transition of fuels. It is the rewiring and re-engineering of the entire global economy. I am grateful to the Irving leadership and my colleagues for giving me the opportunity to speak today. And one of the responsibilities I carry is that of representing the international perspective of the program. 4 continents are represented in this room. And I had the task, or better, the privilege of being an ambassador for Europe, for Italy. And as my colleagues know well, that meant conversations about Rome, the Amalfi Coast, about food, and the right bottle of wine to pair with it. Our backgrounds are also an excellent example of what this field looks from the inside. To name a few: economics, engineering, law, physics, computer science, geology. By choosing this program, we gave up a single lane and chose to explore and absorb each other's complementary expertise. This is the greatest challenge when leading university today: going out and engaging with people of different backgrounds, different beliefs. This is what Arthur Irving did. He made a point of asking questions, of learning people's stories. It is the first thing I remember his wife Sandra telling us when we met in September. Arthur Irving spent his life in the energy business as a builder. He built this place because he believed the next generation deserved the best tools to face this energy revolution. The institute that bears his name opened its doors to its first class over a year after he passed away. Sandra and Sarah are in this room today. That means something. It means this wasn't just a conviction. This wasn't just a gift. It was a conviction, one that outlasted him and that this family continues to carry forward. So do we. Congratulations, inaugural class of 2026.
Right, thank you so much, Matteo, for sharing your unique perspective with us. And now we have our final student speaker. I'd like to welcome Jordan Schisler to the stage.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jordan Schisler, and I'm honored to be representing the inaugural cohort of the Irving Institute's Master of Energy Transition. Speaking on behalf of this dedicated, diverse, and inspiring cohort, as well as those who have made this possible, is an incredibly humbling experience. I'm also now honored to say that I opened for Rachel Dratch. She's a bit funnier than me, though. Before anything else, I want to pause to re-acknowledge those who have made this year possible. I think I speak on behalf of the entire cohort that gratitude is on the top of all of our minds. Thank you to the visionary board members and the Irving family for making the dream of this program into a reality. Thank you to those who work every day to make our education possible. Beam, Casey, Jackie, Molly, Megan, Amanda, and others, your dedication does not go unnoticed. To our professors and mentors, thank you for challenging us to step up to the plate and keep swinging. Your guidance in the energy sector made us resilient. We as a cohort now have the same responsibility to become mentors for the future MET classes. Finally, to our families and friends that are here today or watching at home, these degrees are as much yours as they are ours. Thank you for your constant support. From the very first day of orientation, we were tasked with understanding how our cohort's diversity translated into our strength. Over hand-drawn maps, we learned about each other's hometowns, passions, goals, and how these drew us to Dartmouth. I was also reminded of how hard it is to draw my home state of Ohio. That's why I'm here, not art school. From Uganda, Bangladesh, and China, to Italy, Vietnam, Singapore, and states across the US, we represent a global perspective on transforming the energy industry for good. What was the lesson of this exercise? That the tapestry of our experience is our competitive advantage. And this advantage has been present this entire year. I've been constantly inspired watching this cohort achieve so much, from memorizing Supreme Court cases while raising children, to modeling complex energy systems while working second jobs, and watching some network more hours a day than they slept. We all know who I'm talking about. We have all accomplished so much this year, and I'm truly proud to graduate alongside you. And yet, the hardest problems may be yet to come. Geopolitical tensions, demand growth, and energy affordability are just some of the problems we'll be tasked with collaboratively solving in our careers. While this is intimidating, I'm excited to be doing it amongst this cohort. If I may offer a piece of advice, remember that energy is a problem centered around life. There is no life without energy, and there is no energy without life. From the sunlight feeding the plants, humans capturing fire, to the first electricity grids in New York City, our modern energy system was shaped by life harnessing energy and transforming it into something new. And now we are tasked with harnessing this energy once again to create a system that promotes the welfare of both humans and the environment. Especially today, where hard tech can be the driving topic of discussion, it's important to remember who the energy is serving and who has the power to change the energy system: humans. I have no doubt in our capability to solve these problems together, now not as classmates, but as colleagues. So now, as we journey past Dartmouth into our next steps, I want to use a phrase one last time that has united our program this year. In the words of our friend Fred, do we know what I'm going to say? Can we say it together? 3, 2, 1, we move! Congratulations, MET.
Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Khadija. Thank you, Mateo. Thank you for highlighting your collective accomplishments and bringing us back to the big picture. And thank you again, all speakers, for your inspiration and hope. You three are a hard act to follow. But if anyone can, it is our ceremony keynote speaker, Abigail Ross Hopper. Abby holds a history degree from Dartmouth College and a law degree from the University of Maryland. She has been deeply engaged with energy at the state and federal level, and most recently served an amazing 9 years as CEO of the Solar Energy Industries Association. In that position, she observed and advocated for tremendous growth and change, and she leaves the industry much stronger than when she arrived. Excuse me. She is also the founder of Solar Sisters. And if you don't know about Solar Sisters, search it out on social media, where Abby is a constant inspiration. And finally, we are so thrilled that Abby has just transitioned, or is about to transition, from an Irving Institute Advisory Board member to a distinguished Irving Institute Industry Fellow. She has been an amazing mentor for many of us. I'm so delighted to welcome Abby to the program. To the podium.
All right, well, here we go. You ready? Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Professor Parker. That's what I was told to call you. Professor Parker, Dr. Graham, faculty, families, and most importantly, the 19 extraordinary humans that I see right here in front of me who make up the inaugural Master in Energy Transition. Thank you so much for having me. When I received the invitation to be your keynote speaker, I was so honored. I am intensely grateful for the vision and the generosity of Arthur, Sandra, and Sarah Irving. And I know, I feel it too. Arthur is absolutely beaming down on each and every one of you today. Thank you. I am thankful for the leadership of Dr. Elizabeth Wilson, the Institute's first director, and as I have heard from these folks in the front row, one of the best professors in the MET curriculum. I appreciate the leadership of my fellow Irving board members, our chair, Scott Fisher, and my fellow board member, Dan Kalafatis. And while this day is a celebration of you, the extraordinary class, it is also a celebration for those who gave life to this program, most especially Jeff, Amanda, and Megan. Thank you all for your passion, your vision, and your heart. I've learned if you turn while you're talking, you can't hear. So hence the talking and then the turning. It's feeling a little awkward, so I'm not going to do it anymore. Okay. But mostly, all right, we're almost done with the thank yous. Thank you so much to each and every one of you. You, graduates right here in the front row, you took a chance on us. You took a chance, you moved to Hanover, you enrolled in the MIT, and you built this together. So, okay. I'm going to set the stage for you. Are you ready? I was 8 days out from giving this speech, also known as last Thursday. And I had not done anything to prepare. It seemed a little ridiculous, and so I turned to my favorite tool, LinkedIn. If you don't know, I love LinkedIn. And if you don't know, you too should love LinkedIn. But anyway, that's a different speech. So I went to my LinkedIn page and I posted a question. And I said, hey, LinkedIn, I'm going to chat with some graduates of a Master's in Energy Transition program. And my specific question to LinkedIn was, what wisdom would you provide to folks upon their graduation? And what do you wish someone had told you? And you guys, 14,000 people paused and read that post. And 122 of them commented. And I tell you that because I want you to know that the wisdom, or what I think is wisdom, that I'm sharing today is not just mine. It belongs to an entire industry that has been waiting eagerly for you to show up. So consider this less of a keynote and more of a welcome letter, signed by 122 of your future colleagues. But first, let's talk about me. Why do I get to stand here? So as you heard, I'm Abby Hopper. I had this job as the CEO of the Solar Energy Industries Association. Before that, I served as president. Before that, I served as governor. I love politics, I love policy, and I love energy. I have a law degree, although I don't practice law now. I did spend almost 6 years as a divorce lawyer, which, not surprisingly, is incredibly helpful when you become a lobbyist in Washington, D.C. But regardless of the energy source, regardless of the private sector versus public sector, regardless of the lawyer, the lobbyist, what I can do very well is to build coalitions in rooms where people disagree. I can, and I did, hold an industry together and help it grow exponentially during a trade war, a pandemic, and an incredibly hostile regulatory environment. And I still came out on the other side believing that the work is worth it. I have spent 25 years watching and shaping what works in this field and what doesn't. And so that's what I want to share with you. So let's get to it. So one of the favorite pieces of advice I got from our colleagues on LinkedIn was this, and this is a direct quote. Tell them that the energy transition is not really about energy. It's about people. They will spend years learning about technology, policy, finance, batteries, transmissions, solar, wind, markets. Those things all matter. But the projects that will succeed because of the people behind them. I mean, honestly, I could stop there, right? That is literally the entire speech. But they gave me 10 minutes, and I'm taking all of it. So here we go. People, people, people. You are getting your master's degree in energy transition from Dartmouth, certainly, but also from the Arthur L. Irving Institute for Energy and Society. So energy gets a lot of attention around here, but I'm going to focus on society. I want to talk about the people. First, I want to talk about you, the front row, the way you show up. 2, I want to talk about the communities that we impact. And 3, I want to talk about the culture that you have created here together. So first, let's talk about you. This is your big day. And here's the best advice that I and 122 other people on LinkedIn have to offer. And again, a direct quote. Technical knowledge matters, but adaptability may matter even more. Learn how to handle change. Learn how to communicate across disciplines. Learn how to make yourself useful in complicated rooms where the answer is not obvious. Wherever you land, be someone who helps the organization think better, move faster, and adapt more honestly. Be someone who helps the organization think better, move faster, and adapt more honestly. I have been in this field, as I said, for 25 years. I'm not sure I've heard it said better. Guys, the technology will evolve. The financing structures will change. The politics will inevitably move. But if you can adapt, communicate across disciplines, and make your organization better, you will excel in this energy transition. And I'd also suggest that you decide how you want to show up in this work, what you stand for, and then be that. If you decide to change that perspective because you change, because your family changes, because the work changes, then change. But continue to approach this work with curiosity, heart, and humility. All right, so that's my advice for you. Let's talk for a minute about the communities where this work lands. People, people, people. Because the limiting factor in the energy transition is almost never the technology. It's almost never the financing, that the financing will change. It'll almost never be the policy framework, though policy can accelerate or decimate an industry overnight. Trust me, I've lived through both. And the limiting factor, 9 times out of 10, is people, often just as it should be. And you know why people are the limiting factor? Because this energy transition that you've been studying so intensely, while it marks a radical way in the way that we fuel our economy, it also marks a radical change in how people live. And too often, we do not appropriately take that into account. You have spent the last 9 months building these incredibly formidable technical and analytical skills. You can model energy systems. You understand policy levers across multiple regulatory regimes. You come from across the United States, Bangladesh, China, Uganda, Italy, Vietnam, and Singapore. You've developed a global perspective on this rapid evolution of our energy infrastructure. But I want you to take all of that expertise and hold it lightly enough that you can still listen. You can listen to the community member that doesn't want that transmission line going through their backyard, even if you know that transmission line is essential to your project. You can listen to the worker who is afraid of what that energy transition means for her livelihood, even if you think that fear is misdirected. And you can listen to the official in a developing country who tells you that energy access and economic growth are her first priority, even if your framework says, nope, decarbonization needs to be the #1 priority. So change, durable change, moves at the speed of trust. And so must you. To navigate this energy transition, you must center communities in your work, listen closely, build trust, and then and only then will you create durable change. So, people, people, people. We have talked about you. We have talked about the communities that you're going to impact. Now it's time to talk about the community that you have created here in the Met. Khadija, Fred, Rebecca, Amy, Max, Caroline, Nicholas, oh, it's like in a row, Derek, Sharafel, Paul, Becca, Ella, Riley, Jordan, Otto, Mateo, Turung, Kurika, and Chloe. 19 people, 9 months, 1 brand new program. And somewhere between the reading and the modeling and the very long Hanover winter, you became colleagues, you became friends, you became each other's support systems and networks and job coaches. When Amanda and I spoke a few weeks ago, before I wrote anything, in preparation for today, she described this community as collaborative and non-competitive. She emphasized the many ways in which you work together to co-create this program and to support each other. So as you have heard, you have become the inaugural class of the Dartmouth Master in Energy Transition, and you're about to become the first alumni of the program. You guys, this is a sacred designation, and it comes with very significant expectations. I hope that you have each already experienced the magic that is the Dartmouth family. You are part of it. You will always be a part of it. And starting with next year's Met class, you will also have the opportunity and the responsibility to embrace the next generation. So, people, people, people. There will be moments, probably sooner than you expect, when this work feels impossible, because often it is. The politics turn, the project fails, the coalition falls apart. You might question, why in the world am I doing this? And in these moments, I want you to think about 2 things. 1, 14,000 people paused to read about you. They paused to think about you. 122 of them took the time to write something down for you, each one of you, specifically, because they care about the people coming into this field. That is your community, and it's already out there waiting for you. And 2, Dartmouth looked at the scale of this challenge, the technical complexity, the political difficulty, the global urgency, and decided that what was needed was a new kind of leader. And they found 19 of them. You are those 19. One last voice from LinkedIn, short and sweet. Now go out into the world to address the question you came here to consider. Go do something worthy of that. Congratulations, class of 2026. We are so glad that you're here.
Talk about hard acts to follow. Now you can see why we're so glad we're hanging on to her. Okay, folks, this is the main event. For this next part of the program, we are very fortunate to have Dan Kalafatis, Dartmouth economics major, cum laude, I might add, and board chair, co-founder, and former CEO of 3 Degrees, a truly exceptional energy and climate solutions company headquartered in San Francisco, with offices in the Eastern US, Europe, and Singapore. Dan has done yeoman's work this past year to teach and mentor just about every one of these folks who are standing up right now. Well done. And we are honored to have him here to pin each of our graduates. We know he will be careful not to stab anyone with their pin. Dan and Megan, are you ready?
She brought a Band-Aid.
He didn't bring Band-Aids. Are you ready? Okay. Okay, super. Here we go. Khadija Alakiu. Fred Barundwa. Rebecca Fawkes. Amy Jessica Fulton. No injuries yet. Maxwell Goodman. Caroline Hansley Mace. Robert Nicholas Harris III. Derek Howard. Shariful Islam. Paul Cargill. Rebecca Cecilia Midland. They're getting good at this. Ella Reed. Riley Roach. Jordan Compton Schisler. Otto Schmidt. Matteo Tafuri. Tam Quang Chum.
He has so many pins. This is
Kritika Umashankar. Run Chloe Young. Congratulations, everyone. And let's give everyone a big round of applause as our graduates return to their seats. Woohoo! You may be seated. Congratulations, everyone. I am now very pleased to introduce Professor Jeffrey Parker for closing remarks. Professor Parker is the Charles E. Hutchinson 68A Professor of Engineering Innovation, a leading expert in network economics and platform business strategies, a 4-time winner of awards from Thinkers 50, which honors the best in management thinking, and the faculty director of the Irving Institute. Jeff.
Thank you, Amanda. It's a profound honor to stand with you here today and just celebrate our inaugural class. And I know I'm far from alone in saying that, but it's very heartfelt. To you, you could have studied anything, but instead you chose to study how to work across sectors with communities to create a new energy future. That choice says something about who you are. You've chosen to focus your talents and your energy on one of the most important challenges of our time. So one of the things that I've told you repeatedly is just how remarkable the class is, how remarkable you are. And you've heard that again from more than one of us. You come from different countries. We've heard them, from different disciplines, different professional backgrounds. You took a risk on a new program, on the Irving Institute, on Dartmouth, and for many of you, on moving to a new country. In just 9 months, you've come together as a class in a way that really exceeded my expectations. It certainly was my hope, but well done. Watching that happen has just been one of the most rewarding parts of the experience. I want to thank our faculty, many of whom are here, the curriculum committee, faculty advisory board members, and especially Amanda, Megan. Building a new program is challenging, and you did it so well. I also want to acknowledge families and loved ones. Here you are, supporting students, especially when they embark upon something new. That's important, and you're showing up for them. So this milestone belongs to you as well as your loved ones. I want to thank the members of our advisory board, many of whom are here tonight. They've been true partners and believers in building this program, sharing their expertise literally in the classroom, mentoring students, taking phone calls, emails, texts, providing career guidance, and then staying connected with you and connecting you to the opportunities because there's such a diverse set of experiences. And I think the willingness of this group to invest in this first cohort, and hopefully for many to follow, is something that makes a real difference. And we're just incredibly grateful for that support. So I've spent my career at the intersection of engineering, economics, and markets. And I can tell you, this moment in time is kind of one of those sort of phase changes. You might have felt a little of this in the ferment of kind of the buildup of the dot-com bubble, then boom and bust. But the world was never the same in the mid-90s to the early 2000s. And I think we're in that same kind of moment of utter transformation in the global economy. And right now, the noise is loud. The political debates are intense. Headlines are changing and quite dynamic. But importantly, the underlying realities, they move more slowly. Physics matter. Economics matter. Climate matters. Communities matter. And one of the goals of the program is to help you distinguish from short-term noise and long-term signal. So last November, many of you were here for a conversation with Abby and Annie Custer, and Abby offered a simple observation. Markets win. And 7 months later, the evidence continues to support her point. The energy transition may not move in a straight line, but powerful economic forces continue to push it forward. And that's worth remembering when the headlines are perhaps a bit discouraging. At the end of April, we heard from Dartmouth alumnus and the former GE CEO, Jeff Immelt, and from KR Sridhar, founder and CEO of Bloom Energy, and they spoke candidly about the challenge of meeting rapidly growing electricity demand with infrastructure that was never designed for this moment. KR noted that many important technologies begin in centralized systems and then move closer to the edge. And he believes energy may follow a similar path. And whether or not that prediction proves correct, it highlights the scale of the opportunity before you. Building more flexible, resilient, and affordable energy systems requires new thinking, new institutions, new leaders. So a deliberate choice that we made in designing the MET program was to remain technology agnostic. We didn't want to teach you what to think, we wanted to teach you more how to think. Right solutions vary by geography, economics, community priorities, and available resources. And your responsibility is not to advocate for a particular outcome, but instead to understand systems well enough that you identify the right solution for the right place and time. So I've never regretted learning fundamentals. When confronted with new situations, they provide the frameworks to make sense of the present and anticipate the future. So to give an example, just after the dot-com boom and bust, around the turn of the millennium, my longtime co-author, Marshall Van Alstyne, and I basically developed multi-sided network effect theory that we believe we're going to presage a dramatic change in the economy. The largest firms would increasingly create value by manipulating bits rather than atoms. At the time, there were few believers. Despite the lack of acceptance, we stayed with the work because for us, the evidence was pretty clear and pointed in that direction. And of course, that's exactly what happened. By 2016, most of the world's largest companies by market capitalization were creating enormous value through software, data, and digital platforms. And now in 2026, 10 years after that, the worlds of energy and technology have collided in just spectacular fashion. Companies that create value from processing information increasingly depend upon enormous physical infrastructure and consume vast amounts of electricity. AI and data centers, which we've all heard a great deal about, are driving investment, innovation, and economic growth, and are also creating one of the defining challenges of your generation. How do we provide for the power needed for an increasingly digital economy while ensuring that households, businesses continue to enjoy affordable, reliable, and sustainable energy? So your task is not simply to produce more, it is to build a system capable of supporting extraordinary new energy demand while keeping it reliable, affordable, and resilient for everyone. So technologies change, prices change, political winds shift, but a deep understanding of markets, systems, engineering, communities will remain valuable throughout your career. So reliable energy systems are built by ecosystems of organizations, communities, policymakers, engineers, investors, and the public, or as Abby says, people. And that lesson, and Abby alluded to this, reminds me of my own graduate school experience. So one of the most valuable things I took away, and I certainly hope it's the same for you, was not a particular course or a theory or a textbook, but it was the network of the people that I met along the way. And to this day, it is rare that I don't exchange an email, a phone call, a Zoom, a text with one of the people that I went to graduate school with, because they're who I've built a career with. We've been there for one another, and it's just tremendous fun to the present. So no generation in human history has had access to more knowledge, more powerful tools, or more opportunities to make meaningful change. At the same time, few generations have faced a challenge as complex as transforming the very systems that power modern life. And so you might be concerned that you'd become pessimists if you focus too intensely on a single problem. So very smart people sometimes see one obstacle very clearly and conclude progress is impossible. So The challenge is to zoom out and look at the entire system. And that is one of the most important concepts the program has tried to develop. And so Madame Curie, the two-time Nobel laureate, once said, "Nothing in life is to be feared, it is only to be understood. Now is the time to understand more so that we may fear less." That's not a call for blind optimism, simply persistence. The future is not built by people who assume everything will work out. It's built by people who see the challenges clearly and decide to get to work anyway. So go build. Go build projects, solve problems, help communities navigate difficult choices, build the organizations that can adapt and thrive. The energy transition will not be driven by speeches such as this, reports, or forecasts. It will be driven by people willing to do the hard work, and that responsibility I pass on to you. So finally, I would like to recognize the Irving family, whose remarkable generosity created the foundation for the Arthur L. Irving Institute for Energy and Society. And what I've come to understand is that Arthur believed deeply in investing in people. And one of the Institute's central commitments is to bring new talent into the energy sector. And so this program, the Master of Energy Transition, is a major expression of that value and that mission. And so as we graduate this first cohort, we honor Arthur's legacy in a meaningful way, not simply celebrating a new degree program, but by celebrating the people it has prepared to lead. And so your accomplishments, the impact you will have in the years to come, are part of the legacy, and in many ways, are ambassadors to the future, and part of the legacy he hoped that this institute would create. So we are extraordinarily proud of you. Congratulations, class of 2026. That concludes our program, and please join us for a reception to celebrate our first cohort.